Hello and welcome to Guy Cocker's Video Games Podcast, episode 9 on 20th of June 2013. I'm your host, Guy Cocker, and this week I'm joined by a couple of experts to pore over the week's news, discuss your feedback, and give away some cool stuff. My first guest, hosts Games Weasel, presents FIFA 13 tip show The Boot Room on Xbox Live, and has just returned from E3. He's Mr. Matt Cuttle.
Hello, Mr. Cocker. How are you?
I'm very well. How are you?
I'm good. I'm a bit jet lagged. I'm all over the place. I can sleep, but I'm spacey. I'm more spacey than Kevin Spacey at the moment. It's very strange.
So you were at E3. You managed to get a bit of time off afterwards in Los Angeles.
Before and afterwards. Spent most of it on the roof of the W.
Picked up a bit of a tan.
Picked up a bit of a tan. And that was nice. Yes, it was nice and relaxing. And then I got on a plane and ruined all that relaxing with jet lag.
Right. It was a nice contrast to spending a week in a convention centre. You got to top and tail it with a bit of relaxation and sunbathing. So well done. My second guest is freelance writer and former videogamer.com, IGN UK and GameSpot UK intern. It's Brett Phipps.
Hi.
You okay? Brett? Yeah, not bad. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good. I didn't go to E3, so I need to kind of a better excuse for why I'm all over the place just all the time, really.
No jet lag to blame on.
No, well, I could try. I've been to Ireland recently. That's about the jet lag.
Yeah, not too much jet lag.
Yeah.
But what are you up to in general at the moment, Brett?
Still freelancing, working on a couple of things at the moment. The news that happened recently sort of threw a few plans up in the air, which I'm sure we'll be talking about soon.
Absolutely. Okay, on this week's show, we'll be running down the week's gaming news, looking at what games you can play this week and what we think about them, and talking about what we've been up to this week. And please, whatever you think about the show, email podcast@guycocker.com and let us know what you think. First up, we have 5 copies of Dungeons & Dragons Chronicles of Mystara to give away on Xbox 360, courtesy of the good people over at Capcom. All you need to do is tell us the name of the 2 classic arcade games that this package reworks. Answers please to podcast@guycocker.com before the 25th of June, and the winners will be announced on next week's show. Also, way back before E3 on the 3rd of June, I gave away Thomas Was Alone on PC. All you had to do was answer the question, who narrated the game? Do you guys know that?
It was the guy who did Assassin's Creed. I can't remember.
It's Danny Wallace. Danny Wallace. So he was the narrator, and the people that knew that were Andrew Maventire, Peter Hung, Simon Allen, and Kevin J. Wivel. I think I've been in touch with all of you guys, so your codes should be in your inboxes. Okay, guys, let's discuss this week's feedback. I want to put some questions to you guys and see what you think. Eric Song says, the question I want to ask is what kind of luxury journalists can get at E3? I'm not talking about hearing the latest games news firsthand or playing the latest unreleased title, because I can wait several minutes for the news to pop up, or can even watch the whole presentation live via the internet. But I remember Sony's E3 presentation last year, so that's in 2012, when they gave out a free 1-year subscription to PlayStation Plus. So what I want to ask you is the physical goodies you might get from big conferences such as E3 because you're journalists. Of course, I believe that none of you became journalists just to get these free goodies. It might be a good topic to talk about for someone like me who's always interested in games journalism. That's in general. Matt, what was your best swag?
I returned with nothing this year apart from the tan.
Nothing but a tan. No bags, no t-shirts.
Capcom or Ubisoft the tan?
I think it was just from the LA Sun. The thing is, I get free stuff a lot anyway. I'm in that unfortunate position, and I don't really see much value in stuff. I think it just gets in the way almost. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
so you see all those big bags and those poster tubes that everyone's got at E3, and everyone's got all this stuff. But I got a Titanfall t-shirt,
right?
And I got a Dead Rising 3 cap, which I don't wear free t-shirts, so I'm giving them away on Twitter as prizes, which is that. So yeah, I didn't really, apart from experiencing Los Angeles and going to some cool bars and stuff and enriching myself that way, I didn't actually return with any swag. So I apologise for not going out and getting it.
So if Eric wants to win a Titanfall t-shirt, can he still do that?
Oh,
that one went. Is it gone?
That one went yesterday.
Okay.
However, if you're following me on at Matt Cuttle, I will be giving away the Capcom Dead Rising 3 cap starting tomorrow. So there you go.
Excellent. So you're on Twitter at Matt Cuttle.
At Matt Cuttle. Yeah.
So I think the best one I got this year was the very last appointment that I did, Skylanders. I got a Skylanders toy, which they actually bigged up in the presentation of the fact that how much value it's worth. They obviously certain Skylanders toys are very valuable anyway, but this is a limited edition E3. It says something like E3 and licensing trade show on the front of it. Don't know how many numbers they make, but they basically at the end of the presentation bring them in a big bucket, and everyone's there. I didn't realise this was a thing, because I thought if it's a thing that people knew about, then I would expect more journalists to kind of be talking about it. And anyway, apparently it's worth about $500-600.
eBay?
feel like I should give it to a kid who's going to really appreciate it, but I don't know any. So
You can't eBay it. You just can't.
I know. I can't do anything with it really. I don't play Skylanders. But,
I was invited to that booth as well. I missed my appointment, so
Right.
I'm gutted.
Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting one. I think a lot of the people there, were there to go and pick that toy up. It seems to be like when that came out, they were very eager to go and pick it up. But yeah, like you, I got a few T-shirts this year. I got a Witcher 2 or Witcher 3 jigsaw puzzle, which I then left somewhere, which I've never found out where that went. But yeah, the Bungie T-shirt I twit picked this year was pretty nice. I thought. Did you get that one?
The Bungie one.
The Destiny one.
I went to Bethesda and they had T-shirts in cubes, the ones that sort of have been iron packed somehow, and you sort of have to undo them or drop them in water, and then they just come out really creased. Obviously, iron is also needed to be given away at the same time on the store.
They're pretty impractical, really.
Indeed.
What about you, Brett? Have you been given any trade show goodies or?
Yeah, over the years when we've gone to press events, there's some interesting things that can get handed out, especially depending on the game. Like, I think we all remember the Saints Row 3 giant purple dildo that was being...
Yeah. So did you ever see this, Matt?
I did not see that. No, I missed that. How did I miss that?
It was when Saints Row 3 came out a couple of years ago. They hand-delivered it with two sort of scantily clad models. A couple of copies of the game, as I remember it, and a giant purple...
Wow.
Yeah. That needed its own stand to
it was a serious weapon. It was a seriously
That's
heavy... you could do some damage in many ways.
Something special.
Yeah, it absolutely was. Once a treasure.
Exactly.
I remember opening a closet looking for, I can't remember what I was looking for, a game or a piece of equipment for a console to record video on, and I was opening it and there was just a wobbling dildo in my face just as I opened the door when I was turning the light on.
That's a quote of the podcast.
It wasn't a Saints Row one, it was just another one.
It was like, where is this? Was this at home or?
Yeah.
I take it was at an office.
It was the office, yeah.
Okay.
It was the office.
Let's move on swiftly. Ben Summers, aka Blagstock, asks, with troubling details of the Xbox One emerging, actually this came through, I should say, before the news last night, specifically lack of backwards compatibility, second-hand problems, I've been contemplating the PlayStation 4. I'm particularly swayed by Sony's warm embrace as opposed to Microsoft's apparent abandonment of the indie development community. I know the PlayStation 4 is not backward compatible either, but I was intrigued by the discussion you had on the podcast about using the Vita with the PlayStation 4. I've been thinking about getting a Vita of late, and this may be the tipping point. Before I do, I wondered if there was any intel about a Vita Slim in the works, in a similar way to the PSP Slim. I don't want to get a Vita and then a couple of months later they announce an upgraded version to time the PlayStation 4 launch. What do you guys think? Have you got any thoughts or connections or anyone that knows anything about PlayStation Vita Slim?
I haven't heard. Have you, Brett?
No, I mean, surprisingly, it's a pretty perfectly designed handheld out of the blocks. I mean, it's got a lot of great things on offer, and with the PlayStation Plus, I mean, if he's a subscriber to that, he's already got a good catalogue of Vita games in his library, potentially, if he's been downloading them along the way. And
you have to download them, don't you, each month to kind of claim them?
You don't have to download them. As long as you somewhat added them to your download cart, you can re-download them at any point as long as you're still a subscriber. So, I mean, like you say, with the off-screen functionality, and although PlayStation 4 is technically not backwards compatibility, the thing they're doing with Gaikai and the ability to eventually upload the back catalogue with that, there is the potential for it. It just depends on how they price it in the future as well. So there is that as well, to go forward.
That's not coming to 2014, that particular service. What do you think, Matt? Have you got a Vita? Are you a fan?
I actually dusted my Vita off today because I got a code for Epic Mickey 2 through, so I've just downloaded that. I had to charge it because it had been sitting in my drawer for a very long time. It's that usual thing, you've got a machine that's basically the Swiss Army knife of handhelds and not much to play on it. In terms of new games, but the producer I was out with when I went to E3 was actually looking to buy a Vita like last week because he's going to get a PS4 and he's really excited about playing games off screen. If his wife wants to play, watch a TV, he can actually play his game on his Vita, which I can see the value there definitely, and hopefully a slew of new games will come out next year.
How is Epic Mickey? Have you had a chance to play it? Or is it just downloaded?
I've just playing around with my paintbrush and thinner, and it said, "Do you want to paint the world or destroy it by putting thinner everywhere?" And I said I'd paint the world because I'm that type of guy.
It's a weird one. That game came out a while back. It didn't do amazingly well critically or commercially, and now they've just thrown it on the Vita.
It's like, well, have a code.
Have a
exactly.
code. Yeah, why not? King's Furno says, quick question for you. Now that the next-gen consoles are coming up, are we going to hear about The Last Guardian? Do you think it will ever happen?
I hope it'll happen.
Do you think TGS? It's maybe more of a TGS announcement.
If not TGS, I think it's done. I mean, It's been far too long, and it's been too quiet for too long. I think they've, if not moved on, then it's constantly on the back burner, and they won't come back to it.
Okay, that's probably no good for Kings. I think he's quite excited about it. Oh, well. Peter Hung says, last time I asked about Kojima's appearance in the original Xbox One reveal video, and the guests at the last show thought it probably didn't mean too much. But now that the new Metal Gear Solid is revealed to be coming to Xbox One, what does that mean for the industry? Does this encourage more Japanese developers to embrace Xbox? Matt, are you a fan of the Japanese RPGs or Japanese genre?
They could follow suit. I do like Metal Gear because of the crazy length of it all. It's almost like playing a movie. I'm not a massive fan of JRPGs, to be honest. But if Kojima's there, I'm sure a few people will follow in his footsteps.
Metal Gear looked good.
Metal Gear looked really good. I bumped into Suda51 as well at E3. Had a chat to him via a translator.
Yeah,
obviously he said he's got some exciting stuff on the way. Now I don't know if that's Xbox One or PS3 or PS4 or both, but. Yeah, I think there seem to be more Japanese developers coming over, making more Western games as well. So things are looking good.
Did you see, Brett, that crazy sort of R-rated or red band trailer or whatever they call it for Metal Gear Solid? Basically pulling some item out of a young boy's chest.
Yeah,
as far as I could tell. It was very odd, very odd. It was shown on a massive screen at E3.
Was it really?
Yeah, next to Pez sign.
That's what you wanted.
Pez has gone in an interesting new direction.
That's what you want in 4K resolution.
Absolutely. And finally, Mr. Propellerhead says, enjoying the show, but have a request for you to consider. Some of us, well, me at least, like to directly download a file to play back at our leisure. Would it be possible to provide a direct link to a suitable file format? I've tried to provide that in the latest update, so if you're following me on Twitter, I'm at Guy Cocker, you can get the direct link, but I will add a link to the show notes if you want to do that. So apologies. Remember, get in touch with the show. It's podcast@guycocker.com. Okay, time for the news section. We've got 4 stories here that we think merit discussion, so I'll kick things off with the obvious story, which came through late last night. Microsoft has ditched the Xbox One DRM and always online policies. Basically, when it was first unveiled, Microsoft was proposing that you would need to check in online once every 24 hours, and also you'd only be able to link your games to one account or one machine. It was all way too complicated for even me, and I cover this industry. But they've kind of reneged on all that, and it's going to work exactly the same way as Xbox 360. Now, we were talking, Matt, about this. Interestingly, the media was outraged at this, and now it's gone the other way. It's outraged again that they've gone back on this original promise. I don't know if I've explained that very well, but everyone's just furious that Microsoft's now gone back on its original plan.
Yeah, I know people who are going, I want to play cloud games, I don't want to change discs, I want to be able to upload my game and play it on any console. But of course, they were the people that were moaning when they were told they would have to check in once every 24 hours and they couldn't trade games. For me, I don't, my Xbox is always on the internet anyway, personally, and I don't really trade games. Do I want the added inconvenience of swapping a disc? Doesn't really bother me. Maybe they should have an option where you can opt in for that if you want it.
Yeah.
Right. Are you a fair person to kind of compare with everyone else though? I'm always aware that I may not be trading as many games as the average person. That's the only thing.
No, that is true, and I think for people that want to trade games, a lot of people I know will wait for a game to come second hand and wait for it to come down in price until they actually buy a game. And I understand that is really important. So I think Microsoft have done the right thing. It's unprecedented really for a company to actually do a U-turn like this. The Xbox 180 people were calling it yesterday, which is great. But I think it's good. They've listened to the fans or the people that were moaning, and hopefully they're going to get a few more pre-orders like Sony have, and actually sell a few Xbox Ones when it comes out.
What do you think, Brett? Because I've read a few stories today that people were saying, well, Microsoft were pushing things forward, that you were going to be able to put your disc in one machine and then move from whatever machine you wanted. As long as you had your account, you could play that game. Now you can't do that. You need the disc.
It was just a PR nightmare. Everything they were saying, they put the wrong skew on it. The things that Don Mattrick was saying, they're almost unbelievable. The way he was presenting... Again, there were many great features that could have had the potential to, again, take the industry forward. And yes, there was the no-use games and always online implementation. But if they could have somehow put it into perspective that, yes, at the minute, all games will be new, but in the near future, we could operate a marketplace that could present a range of pricing similar to what Steam does. It won't be pre-owned, but it will be new and a variety of pricings that we'll see AAA games come down in seasonal sales, that we'll see independent parties bring out games that are like £5, £7, £8. They really didn't say any of that. And then the game sharing functionality, the 10 people can have at any time, as long as you're not playing it, was hardly spoken of. And the problem is now, no one's listening at this point. The core audience isn't listening to this new message. I spoke to a friend on the way here, and he was still under the impression that they've still got the DRM. So how they can get this new message out any time before the next big conference, be it Gamescom or TGS, I don't know.
There's other stuff in here that's still, I think, good news. I mean, there's not going to be any region lock on the machine, which is another good thing. I know there was something else in here which I'm just searching for, but is it still a problem of messaging, do you think, Matt? Do you think there's a lot of people out there that are still confused?
I think there's been a lot of miscommunication, to be honest. There's a lot of rumours going around, people misunderstanding what's being said. It's going to calm down, but I think the only way people are actually going to know is actually just before it comes out, or when it's come out, people can actually try it for themselves, and actually then the message will get out what this console actually does. Because at the moment, I think everyone's quite confused and in the dark still. Microsoft, come on.
Maybe even Microsoft doesn't know. I'll try and break it down. I think this is the simplest way to explain it. You will need to connect the console online when you first set it up, because you're going to have to download an update, basically. But after that, you don't need to have any connection. It's not required. 24-hour check-in is not required. You can play your games just like on Xbox 360. I think, in fact, apart from that initial check-in, it's just like Xbox 360. Yeah. So where are we at now, guys? Are you more of a PlayStation fan or an Xbox fan, or is it just about the games now? I mean, hopefully that's the case.
I think doing what we do, we tend to be quite lucky in that we tend to experience both, and then being whichever console we end up with first, it's just a matter of what appeals to us at that time. Like, I've had a stronger connection with Sony's first party titles purely because as a child I had a PlayStation, played Killzone, and then got Infamous as it came through on PS3. But I have no real allegiance. I mean, when PlayStation announced the $600 price point and then delayed it a year, I went and bought an Xbox 360. So it's whoever can appeal to my interest. It's not what the brand is.
So you're an Infamous fan, then you're a fellow Infamous. I like Infamous.
Yeah,
they keep showing games with sort of bratty, douchey men. So I think it's a problem for them. What about you, Matt? Are you going to come down on one side of the fence, or are you?
I'm not going to sit on the fence. I'm going to say Xbox because I love Xbox Live. It works for me. I play a lot of online games, and Xbox Live is the most stable way to do that. I've got all my friends on there. Hopefully they're not all going to now have PlayStation accounts for PS4. And I prefer the controller, I really do. I like the offset thumbsticks. Right. I like the feel of it.
Did you get a chance to play with the different controls at E3?
Do you know what? At E3, I only managed to go to the Sony stand.
Really?
Didn't actually get a chance to go into and see the Xbox One, which is ridiculous, I know. But I didn't get to have a fondle with it.
There was some Xbox controllers I played with it on the Battlefield 64 player setup at EA's stand, but okay. Well, that story is hopefully done now. I think. I mean, I thought this DRM issue was going to run, but hopefully, I think we're done on that one now.
Sorry, I think what Matt said could run true as well. Like with many games, before you start, you have to agree to the end user license agreements. That there could be the opt-in where, for example, Forza 5 with the driver tar, although if they might say before you start the game, would you like to opt into all these features? And then if you say yes, then all that cloud stuff is still there.
Right.
On the proviso that you agree to the terms, which could be the connectivity X amount of time. They could still happen. Yeah,
I'm sure we'll get to where Microsoft originally wanted to go anyway in a few years when we're not buying disc-based games, when stores, when the high streets are shut down.
It's going to happen.
So next news story is about current gen. This is the PlayStation 3 update 4.45, making the system completely inoperable. So shortly after the release of a new firmware update for the PlayStation 3 a couple of days ago, reports of bricked consoles turned up. The firmware was since pulled, and at the time of when I wrote this news, copied the news story last night, we were still waiting for information on what action the affected users should take. According to Jamatsu, the update allowed you to switch off trophy notifications via the system settings menu. It's a much needed feature.
Wow.
Sony issued a statement to Eurogamer on the matter saying, "We are aware of reports that the recent PlayStation 3 system software update has caused the XMB to not display on a small number of PlayStation 3 systems. We've temporarily taken 4.45 offline and are investigating the cause of the problem. We will will announce when the system update is available for download as soon as possible. We apologise for the inconvenience. Kindly ask PlayStation 3 users to wait for further details. Are Sony ready to release a new console when they can't get firmware for
PS4 while you wait for it to come back on?
I mean, everyone forgot about the PlayStation Network downtime. I mean, that wasn't too long ago. Was it a couple of years ago now, actually?
I'm also always waiting when I turn my PS3 on anyway, because I don't play it that often, only for the first party titles such as The Last of Us, and I've always got to do an update, then charge my controllers. So waiting, it seems to be what I do with Sony.
You dread buying a game that's more than a month old, don't you, as well? Because you've got that good hour wait and install.
This is a poor excuse, or basically poor excuse, but if you have PlayStation Plus again, though, it will do that in the background.
Yeah,
you shouldn't have to pay for that service. Really.
I was quite lucky because I do have PlayStation Plus, but my auto update was a time just after they pulled it as well, so it could have happened to me if I was somewhat before.
Well, this bleeds beautifully into the next story, which is PlayStation 4 user interface showing the social and online features, but also how slick it is. Have you guys seen this video? It shows it off. It looks as though everything is totally seamless, no waiting. It's the complete opposite of the PlayStation 3 experience.
All that was missing.
That wasn't really a question. Sorry. What do you think? Having seen the video?
Very dude bro in this presentation with
the American guys.
The choice of actors and all the winky faces that were sent across. But I do like the fact that you can use your phone, because the PS4 is a lot like the Xbox, is never really turned off. It's always in a sleep mode, and just hit a thing on your phone, say download to the PS4. Now you can choose to download multiplayer or single player first. It is good stuff, and cross game chat is one of the huge things that's always been a downside, and why Xbox Live is stronger, and they seem to be offering that now, and it comes with a headset.
Yes,
PS4,
it does. Did you see it on the? Did you see any photos of it on the?
I did. Yeah.
So it's kind of, I don't know. It's
one headphone. One headphone. It's a bit strange.
It's on a sort of. It's difficult to describe, but it's not a chunky headset. It's just a cable, really. It's a thin, light cable.
It looks like it's like an in-ear headphone, and then it's got like the iPhone style, like accept call button on it and volume control, and then it seems really slick that the guy on the trailer seems to double click either the options button, and that takes him back to the game that he's playing at any time as well, no matter what menu he's in. So it does it quite simple in the way they've done it.
I think you ran down most of the big features there, Brett, but I'll try and pull them out. So double tapping to move between game and the various other functions like chat, downloading multiplayer or single player. I think that was in Killzone, so you can download the multiplayer first. If your dude bro friend is shouting at you to come and join in Killzone Shadowfall multiplayer.
Squeezing the control of a pained expression on his face, waiting for you to join.
The mobile stuff, I presume, will be platform agnostic, so you won't have to have a Sony Ericsson phone, but you can do chat and group chat, queue things up on your mobile phone, and obviously you need to be gaming in a sort of weird shed as well if you're in these Sony lifestyle adverts. I think that was the main stuff. Matt, were you excited about the PlayStation 4? I know an interface is not something to get really excited about, but it is a place where you spend a lot of time if you're a gamer. So
do you know what? I have not seen the interface. Right. I will say now, I just haven't seen it. I wasn't invited to the Sony press conference at E3.
To be fair, it was a video that was released yesterday, so it wasn't really shown.
Okay, I've had a busy day, so I need to check it out. But it sounds interesting.
Exciting.
Dude bro people and actors holding joypads. They need to teach people how to hold joypads, how games hold them. But that's not very dynamic,
Every
is it?
sitcom where they have a guy, Big Bang Theory being an example, when they're playing Red Dead Redemption and mashing away at the controls, and you're just walking.
It's amazing, isn't it? It's interesting.
The one thing I wonder is, you can play a game while it's downloaded. I'm wondering how that will work for multiplayer. If your game, say, 10% downloaded, you can't? I'd imagine you wouldn't be able to play it while it's downloading the multiplayer segment. Let it download.
It'd be some pretty incredible technology if it was clever enough to sort of stream just the level that you're being queued up to play with your friends. That'd be a pretty incredible technology. But that loading bar, that downloading bar, was moving at such a pace.
Being a shed.
I imagine these games are going to be, sort of similar size to the ones that are on Blu-ray at the moment. So we're talking like 25, 30 gigabytes. So
Uncharted 3, the single player alone, just came out on PlayStation Plus, and that's 33 gigabytes.
Right.
Yeah.
So this is a shed with a big fat pipe.
Massive,
Yeah.
business level.
exactly.
Tons of fibre wire going through.
So yeah, this is obviously Sony's vision of all of our houses, which is obviously completely different in real life. So yeah, check it out. Have a look at the video. It's slightly insufferable in a lot of ways, but it does show off the PlayStation 4's interface, and you can see a scenario that never happens where Will watches a video that Sarah posts of a section of a game that he's finding tough, and then he uses that video to help himself complete the game.
Yeah.
That never happens.
And he says in a room on his own, "Nice one, Sarah," when she gets a platinum.
Yeah.
Like a few days before that. I've never said well done for anyone getting an achievement in a room on my own.
Yeah, obviously a crazy scenario in this video never happened. Wii U price cut, not an easy option for Nintendo, according to Iwata. This is the next news story. Nintendo is unlikely to introduce a Wii U price cut because the console already sits at what is, according to Satoru Iwata, an aggressive price point. So he's not intimidated by these new consoles. He doesn't want to drop the price of the Wii U. What do you guys think? Is it time?
The Wii U, what an enigma that
Yeah.
machine is. The Wii was supposed to be simple. Your nan could pick up the nunchuck or the remote and, I swing it. And, look, the little man does the same thing.
Is this your nan?
That's not my nan. Oh, dear. And tell you what, I got the Wii U and it's got 2 screens. I had to go into MS Config to set up the internet on it with Virgin. Like an old lady isn't going to be able to do that with her grandson. It's got 2 screens. It takes a look up, look down. It's a very complicated console, actually, for someone... for a machine that I just don't know who it's aimed at still, to be honest. And I think that's confusion, and that's why people aren't buying it. Brett, what do you think?
I think it's...
You just seem like so perplexed.
Yeah.
You're like,
I just don't get it. I don't get it.
The one thing that's been bugging me with mine is whenever there's a game like Mario that streams the game simultaneously on the gamepad and the TV, I'm always looking down no matter what, because it's distracting. Because you can't turn the display off. You can only turn it off if you're not touching.
You find it distracting because you can see it in your peripheral vision.
Yeah, because it's the exact same input. Yeah. So I'm always looking down, even if I've got the TV on.
I'm going to be slightly dumb here. What's the problem? I mean, would you prefer to be looking at it on your TV in high def?
Yeah.
It's just this distraction. You're like,
exactly. Because the point of the gamepad is if the TV's in use, if you want to resume off-screen play. But the one thing that I found strange in their decision to not include a price cut was, I'm sure I remember them saying that they're making a profit as soon as they sell a single game with the Wii U.
Yes.
So, I mean, it wouldn't be a huge loss for them if they were to say knock $50 off of the Wii U, because then now they've got the eShop available, that's straight profit to them, or a majority profit. And now with the new promise of games coming forward from Nintendo, I mean, it wouldn't be a huge loss on their part in that sense if they could get more out the door. Yeah,
the problem right now is not really price, it's the fact that there's no real games for the
exactly.
machine. The games that I think that they had a really weak press conference at E3, but the games when you go and play them on their stand were really, really good. Mario Kart was great, Donkey Kong was great. I know they sort of established franchises. Mario 3D Land was really, really good as well, but they're not coming till December. And I think I've no doubt that that Nintendo will get there with the Wii U and make it a machine that people will want to buy. I mean, it's really as simple as getting a Super Smash Brothers game and Mario Kart on there. Maybe Wii Fit as well. But I totally understand what you're saying, Matt. I actually, just for some coverage that I was doing for New Super Luigi, I just got a Wii U a couple of days ago. I hadn't had one at my house before. Played with one in an office environment, but that initial setup procedure is very confusing. It's very complicated, and I'm a games journalist, so I kind of know what I'm doing. Hopefully, anyway.
Did you transfer your saves over from the Wii?
I didn't. I've not done that yet.
Okay, you have the joy of watching Pikmin take your saves, put them in a rocket ship, send them off into space, and then it lands on your Wii U, and then they take all the saves out and put it back onto your Wii U console. I just find I had to update the OS today, and it's playing childlike music at me. Well, I don't want to listen to music while I'm updating my console. I'm doing something else.
Right.
It's very strange. I love Nintendo.
Games
I love
console
the
should be seen and not heard.
Exactly. But you're right. The games that are coming out all look great. The stand had a really good atmosphere about it at E3, and I can't wait to play in some first-party titles again when they eventually come out.
3DS is... I'm playing that thing all the time. Animal Crossing is great. Fire Emblem's amazing. Even Donkey Kong and obviously the classic titles like Mario Kart. But the Wii U is just... I don't even really know a single person that's got one in their house. Even like games journalists. So it's still got that problem of like people don't understand whether it's an add-on for the old Wii console.
And a console that uses old technology as well. Like some things you have to have the Wii remote, and you're like, well, what am I buying here? What's going on? Strange.
What is going on, indeed. I actually had that thing though where you transfer the saves over on the 3DS, and it's a similar.
Yeah,
you transfer.
They
have the Pikmin carrying.
That's it. Yeah,
I've seen it before. Oh. I know it. It's beautiful. Okay, that's it for this week's news. You can find out more if you go over to check the show notes, which will be in the notes in the podcast. Last week at E3, I spoke to the creative team behind Hotline Miami 2, the sequel to one of my favourite games of the last few years. The game was formally announced yesterday, so let's hear more about it. So I'm outside the grounds of E3 in a trailer, an American trailer, with Dennis, who is the designer for Hotline Miami 2. Dennis, thanks for joining me.
Oh, thank you for stopping by.
So Dennis, Hotline Miami 2 is one of the few, I'd say, big indie games that are on show here. It's all about the new consoles and the new big games. Tell us a bit about Hotline Miami 2 and where it fits in with the Hotline Miami universe.
Yeah, it's basically, if you love the first game, you're gonna love this game. When it comes to gameplay, we're sticking to the formula because everyone seems to enjoy it and we're super happy with it. So it's more content, more enemies and more weapons, stuff like that. But we're gonna try to tell a different story within the game and with the structure, and it's gonna be a lot of different playable characters that have different motivations and expectations of their part of the game. So
tell us a little bit about that setup, because I've just seen a demo of it. It looks interesting. Obviously it's the Hotline Miami style, but tell us about the setup, because that's quite different.
Yeah, so we have in the demo we have the Pig Butcher, for example, and he's part of a movie crew that is making a 90s slasher Friday the 13th take of one of the events of the first game. And then we have the group called the Fans that they wanted to be part of the first game, like the whole vigilante movement, but they kind of missed it, and but they're still like wearing the masks and driving around and killing thugs and hoping to one day get that call. And they kind of symbolize people that want Hotline Miami 2 to be exactly as the first game, which it will be in a way, like collecting masks and getting phone calls. But that's only for their part. We're gonna try to explore other motivations for other characters and settings.
I'm sure there's a trailer for Hotline Miami 2, so people can check it out. But it is similar in style to Hotline Miami. When's it coming out? Have you got any idea when it's coming out and what platforms?
We are aiming for late 2013, and we're working on the PC and the Mac version. But we're talking about console as well. And since the first game is out on PS3 and Vita soon, we're hoping to see the same with the sequel.
I want to ask you about the Humble Bundle, because obviously Hotline Miami was very popular when it launched, and I assume it had quite a big uptake again whenever it was a few weeks ago when that came out. What does the Humble Bundle do for you guys? Is it a big deal?
It's just so cool to be like featured in. It's like a prize just to be in a bundle with a bunch of awesome games, which this bundle was, and a lot of, like, all bundles always have cool games. So it's like you get a trophy. Like, your game is awesome, we want it in your bundle, which feels great, and more people can pick it up for a good price. And yeah.
You seem quite self-effacing. You know, the game itself is very confident, very kind of rock star-esque, I would say. But you seem very humble just to be in the Humble Bundle, which is, I guess, appropriate.
Yeah, I'm very humble.
I feel like you guys should be like, yeah, we should be in the Humble Bundle. We're awesome.
Yeah, but it's the whole thing is all new. We were super proud of the game when it was done, but we kind of felt that it might be too difficult, or maybe tell a story in a way that's not most people are common to. So we didn't know if the big mass would pick up on it. So right. When it did, it's you feel humble that something you are super proud of and that you did for yourself. Like, this is the game we want to make, and don't think about what people might think about it, and they love it. Feels like, yeah.
Now you can hear a bit of it in the background in this trailer, the music, the soundtrack. Obviously the soundtrack from the first game was incredibly successful as well. Lots of people downloaded it and listened to it separately. Can you just recount that story during the demo that you said lots of people got in touch with you to say that they wanted to contribute music, and that will be in Hotline Miami 2?
Yeah, there's a bunch of artists that's coming back for the sequel. We have Perturbator, for example, which is in the demo, and Jasper Byrne, and a lot of other people. But yeah, we found some new artists along the way that we wanted to have some of the stages will have a different vibe to the music, so we found some new artists that really fit this feeling. So for the Pig Butcher, we wanted more of a horror feeling to it, and found some new artists that fit that mold. But there's a lot of people, sending us a link to their Bandcamp or sending us a zip file with the whole like discography. Some of them were like 100 songs, but just being like, I make music. I kind of feel like it's Hotline Miami-ish, and take a look if you want to, and if you want the tracks, I would love to be in it because I love Hotline Miami, and we found a lot of cool artists that way, which feels nice just to have this community of people. Like, we help them give exposure to cool bands by having them in the game, and they give us songs that we could never do ourselves, and the soundtrack has a huge part of the game, so they're definitely part of the whole, like, we see them as part of the team. Like, without the music, the game wouldn't feel like it feels. So.
Yeah, I'm sure it would feel very different without this music. I want to get your tip, Dennis. I don't know if you made it around the show, but what's excited you about E3 this year? Have you got any good indie game tips? What have you seen?
I haven't had the time to go inside, actually, which I would try to do it tonight, hopefully. But
so you've just been in this trailer outside E3 next to a Hooters bar. That's all you've been doing?
Yeah, drinking beer, which is super nice. But I would love to see. I've never been to E3, so I want to see the chaos and the zoo within.
Yeah. Well, Dennis, thanks for your time. And where can people find out more about Hotline Miami 2? You got a website?
Yeah, the website is not done yet, but we'll tease you as we get along. You will notice when new stuff will be up. And yeah.
Great. So thanks, Dennis. Enjoy your time at E3.
Thank you.
All right, time to talk to my guests about what they've been up to at the moment, what's on their radar, and what else might be of interest. Doesn't have to be gaming related, guys. So, Brett, let's start with you. What have you been up to?
Just trying to play The Last of Us as much as I can.
Right, okay.
Any free time that permits me, I'm playing The Last of Us.
It's a pretty long game, so yeah, it takes a lot of dedication.
I was really surprised. Obviously, expecting an Uncharted-like length of, the campaign, but it's every time you think you're somewhat reaching the end of the game, it drops a bombshell, and then you move on. You move to another location. It's so good.
Yeah. So you agree with the praise that's been heaped on this game?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
I saw Matt. You were posting on Facebook. You were having Jack Daniels and playing it last night.
I was. I think I'm probably a little bit further back than you, Brett. E3 sort of got in the way, but yeah. I mean, it is impressive. It looks incredible. The atmospheres. I wouldn't say this game is fun to play at all.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
You feel very vulnerable.
It's very stressful, very sort of
stressful,
and that's intended, I'm sure.
Yeah, and you've got the one touch kill with these clickers that come in and get you. It is tough, this game. It really is. But
I'm glad you guys are finding it the same, because I played it and I thought I wasn't very good at it. Yeah, because I was imagining when I saw that E3 demo where it was this incredibly smooth run through. It wasn't smooth, but there was lots of dynamic action, and he was never dying, and he was adapting to the environment, and I kept just dying. I was just like, am I doing this wrong? So I'm glad everyone else is having the same experience.
Yeah, definitely. It is one of those where you curse it, and then as soon as you make it through that area, you sort of fall back in love with it again. I remember someone on Twitter, I can't remember who it was, but described it really well. It's like a roller coaster relationship where, all those moments of stillness, you sort of fall in love with the character development and everything, and then you get to, like you say, that moment with the clickers, whereas you put every bit of ammo into it, and as soon as you reload, that's it, they've got you, and then you get so angry because you have to go back again. But as soon as you make it through, you feel that you've progressed as much as the characters have, because you learn from that experience as well. So you're becoming a survivalist as much as they are.
I went to E3. I'd played the beginning section, which is incredible, first 10 minutes or so, and then it goes into quite relentless violence, and I was sort of, I guess I'd seen the reviews come out, and I wasn't quite feeling that 10 out of 10 thing like everyone else was, but since coming back and playing more of it, I've definitely gotten back into it. So.
I mean, there are some technical problems with it. I saw two characters clipping right into each other. I don't know if anyone else has seen that. I've heard about game saves not working properly. That's probably been fixed with a patch
I think
now.
They did fix it, yeah.
They fixed it and then they broke everyone's PlayStation. Shame. So you're enjoying it, Matt? How did it work with the Jack Daniels? Was it?
It probably impeded things. to be honest, my reactions probably weren't as quick. But I did notice that some of the areas they are scripted in such a way until you actually set the chaos off. So if you learn from your mistakes, you see when one of the runners or whatever will walk around and they'll see you at a certain point. So it's trial and error, quite a lot of it, to be honest, and working out different strategies to distract them and stuff. But I'm really enjoying it. It's certainly not Uncharted, this game. It's a very different experience, but the relationship between the characters is very interesting. And I even shed a bit of a tear, I must say, in the first 10 minutes.
Wow.
Yeah, I don't know
why.
it
has that impact.
We won't say why, but
I don't know if it's it is a spoiler, isn't it? So you want to experience that fresh. Brett, you've also put on here Mega Man 2.
Yeah, again, I'm one of those stupid people who has a Wii U at the minute. I need an excuse to play it, and
I was enjoying New Super Luigi. I'll talk a little bit.
I picked up today. Yeah,
it's just come out today.
Yeah, and I've been playing Mega Man since I was a kid, and
sure.
I've downloaded. I think it was 2, 3, and 4 came out. I downloaded all of them, and just going through Mega Man 2 at the minute and trying to speed run it again.
How's the Wii U version? Is it improved at all?
Yeah, it's so much better than the Wii, because the Wii version was almost unplayable with these games because they had the framing issues. But yeah, it runs really smoothly.
Tough, isn't it, as well?
Oh, really, because I'm getting to the... Because back when I was a kid, but I only learned recently that in Punch-Out, the original one, you could duck. I didn't even know you could do that, because now on the internet I can look that up. So I'm
really?
looking... Yeah, I didn't even know, because back in the day I had no one to ask. I was 6 years old, and I couldn't ask another kid in school because they didn't know.
Couldn't finish the game, sure?
Oh, not at all, no.
Yeah. So have you played Punch-Out? Is it Super Punch-Out on Wii? The original?
Yeah, I
That's
did,
really good version. So Mega Man 2. Why do you need an excuse to play your Wii U though? I mean, do you just feel it doesn't get enough use?
Again, I had this with the Wii where you do have those lulls in releases, and Wii U's definitely having one of those now. But with the Virtual Console, I will play Super Mario Brothers, Super Mario World, and Mega Man every couple of months. I always play Mega Man X, all these old games, because they do offer that sense of, well, you can better it. You can complete it in such a way that you can better yourself, and I find them endless in terms of the entertainment they can offer.
Fair enough. I haven't, like I say, I've only just got a Wii U for my house, but how much is Mega Man 2? Just rough?
$250.
So it's not like I always got the impression that they were really expensive and quite extortionate.
Super Ghouls and Ghosts is something like £8, and that's ridiculous.
So there's the odd one there still. The Wii U is it's once you got it set up, it's quite a nice console to play on. I quite enjoy playing with it, but I can totally understand your complaints about it, Matt. Battlefield 4 as well. Have you been?
No, it was one of those that I was, like you say, one of those that you're keeping an eye on. And when I saw the multiplayer, because I was so disappointed with the Call of Duty reveal, and the one thing they were bragging about next gen was the fact that you've got a dog in the game. I've got 3 at home that I've got to bet.
It was ripe for parody, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It was only a matter of time before that Twitter account got set up.
And then Battlefield 4 just came and stole the day in terms of military shooters, and it was so good. The level of destruction that you can implement in the new engine was brilliant.
Yeah, both the multiplayer demo and the single player demo were very good. I think the multiplayer demo, having 64 people on stage at EA's press conference, and then at the booth itself, was just really, really cool. I loved coming from Battlefield on the PC, those 64 player battles in Battlefield 2, and it's good that it's going back there. But so you're excited about it?
Yeah, because I played it on PS3 because I don't have a PC, and I didn't see 60 frames per second Battlefield until months after it came out. And when I first watched it, I honestly thought it was a replay being played at double speed.
Right.
It was a different game. It was completely different.
It's it's very, very pretty game. I think the single player Battlefield 4 was that section on the ship where they were sort of shooting planes out, and they were taking
and the bit with the car crash where they sort of turn the car over, the helicopter follows them, and then the ambulance turns up.
And then forgot about the aircraft carrier breaking in half.
Come on. I bet
a few fish swam out the way then.
Right, you wouldn't survive that one.
And then the multiplayer, you were saying you had a go, Matt, when you were at E3.
Yeah, I didn't actually get to be hands-on with it. Again, we were interviewing too many people, but we
was working too hard, man.
I know. We saw some of that actually at DICE, and we went there a week before, and Siege of Shanghai with that skyscraper that collapses, and the Levolution, they call it, all these buzzwords, driver time, Levolution. I like that, the evolution of the level, sort of works. With all the dust kicking up and the water, the network water that actually creates real waves. I think technically, for me, that was game of the show.
Right.
So, I'm really looking forward to Battlefield 4, being a massive fan since 1942, actually.
Yeah. So even before me, I got into it with 2, so you're a longer-term fan than me. What was your experience of DICE? I presume you've been there before. But
been there a few times.
It's one of my favourite studios.
Yeah, it's gorgeous. There's a really nice look over the harbour. They actually had, because it was a national holiday in Sweden that the day after we were there, they were prepping some military, and a few frigates rocked up on the bay, and a submarine surfaced.
No way.
And then parked up.
I was appropriate for a Battlefield.
So I was thinking inspiration right out the window.
They need to put submarines in the game. That would be great. Maybe some DLC. Who knows? But it's a great studio. Love it.
Did you get to see any Mirror's Edge stuff, or was it all Battlefield?
I don't know what to say. I would say that actually no, we didn't see anything. They made sure we didn't see anything to do with that. And then they announced it, so there's a lot of happy people that enjoyed it.
Yeah, it seemed to be the biggest, the biggest cheer at E3 was at the Sony press conference when they announced the sort of lack of DRM, but the biggest cheer for a game announcement was definitely Mirror's Edge 2.
And the biggest moment was Killer Instinct when they announced it and then said that you only get one character and you've got to buy all the other ones. I was like, I think I might. You can maybe add a bit of comment on this, Brett, because I went to talk to some game development students yesterday at Goldsmiths, and they watched the Microsoft stream, and one of the questions that I had was, what was the reaction of the crowd when the Killer Instinct? So there was a guy playing on the Mad Cat stick and a girl who was playing, and the guy said some questionable things like just take it and it'll be over soon, and there was this whole kind of rape controversy around it. I actually turned it down and just watched, because when they first announced the game, I was in a room where I lost my shit.
Right.
I nearly knocked my laptop off my lap.
You just went crazy.
Yeah, and then when that was happening, I couldn't believe the things he was saying, and it was awful. Because maybe it's the atmosphere of being, because you were sat down two seats down from me. Because I was trying to explain what the crowd was doing, because I didn't really stick in my mind as being a memorable part of that press conference.
Yeah, I didn't pick up on it at all, I must say.
No, so it made me feel like a complete bigot, a misogynist. Am I? Do I?
That's do I hate women? Because I was so focused on, like you say, the game that was going on in front, and then I sort of picked up on when you said it'll all be over soon. I was like, no, wait, what? That's actually, and then you realise what's going on, and you think, oh no, we're sort of treading on, sort of sinking in some
some dodgy area. So I thought it was a funny question, because it didn't seem like it wasn't a particularly memorable moment during that press conference.
No, not for me, but again, maybe I hate women as well.
But you never know what the internet's going to pick up on.
Yeah. Well, by the way, for the record, I don't hate women.
Right.
Neither does Guy or Brett. We like them.
Very positive.
Yeah.
And then The Evil Within. I saw this at E3 behind closed doors. The scariest game demo I've seen in quite some time. Yeah, in a good way.
This looks so good. Like, what I loved was that all the decisions they were talking about. I watched an interview with the guy at Bethesda, and he was talking about the decisions they make, where they almost completely removed the HUD, they changed the aspect ratio, and every interview I watched of it, they weren't putting any points saying the game is hard. We're not going to lie to you. You're going to die an awful lot. You're going to struggle in this game, but survival horror has moved in a direction that we're not happy with. We're going to show you what we're thinking survival horror is, and if you don't like it, that's fine, but we're not making that sort of game anymore because it's Mikami. And then the guy at Bethesda said, we're just doing what Mikami's vision is, we're following that because he's done it before and he knows what he's doing.
Sure, that's good, and that's really good. I mean, you don't get a lot of people, maybe Naughty Dog with The Last of Us, getting that sort of that's their artistic vision, they're going to get our support. It's still quite rare in the video game industry. I have to say, though, the first half of the demo that I saw was the more interesting one. It sort of had undertones of maybe something like Saw, or
definitely,
where he's being chased. The main character's being chased down a corridor. In fact, there's a section where he gets his leg chopped by
and I quite like the way he's walking with a limp as well. And it's that added fear, when he's walking through that room. But as you said, Saw, it reminded me of Saw as well. And there's always blades coming towards him. I thought it looked great. Yeah. I didn't get to see the second half because the graphics card died during the demo.
Oh no!
And we all had to have a minute silence for it.
That happened in another demo. I can't remember what it was. It's part of E3 experience, I guess. But the second half of it was more standard kind of Resident Evil feel to it, I think. Sorry, Matt, what are you playing at the moment?
At the moment, it's slim pickings, really, isn't it? It's quite quiet. The Last of Us, I've been playing.
I would say that, but maybe Animal Crossing. I've been playing that.
Because
everyone,
am I the only one who doesn't get Animal Crossing?
I think it's very easy to not get Animal Crossing. Yes. It's because it sounds so twee and dumb and
I'm still playing Football Manager, so I can't really talk at all.
Yeah, but when you describe Animal Crossing, I did an appearance on Sky this morning, a review for it, and it just describing it makes it sound like you're a 12-year-old girl or something. you're into this crazy town mayor of animals, and what the hell is this?
I'm avoiding it. I've put in your notes that I'm avoiding it simply because I had it on the DS, and I ended up having to set my alarm to wake myself up so I could see the turnip lady and buy some special turnips she had on offer. Then I realised things had gotten too far, so I was offered a code for it, and I was like, I'm not going anywhere near that because that's seems to be all that anyone's talking about at the moment. You go to a social event and people are going, bring your 3DS, because then we can all swap things, like give each other bells or turn into an Animal Crossing.
Or peaches
It's like, what's going on? What's the world come to? But I know it's great.
Because the last Animal Crossing on DS was multiplayer, you could go online with it, but it sort of needed social networks to come in and bring people together even closer. But it is true, I mean, on Facebook, for me at least, half the people I know are just posting pictures of them on a boat or sailing. Or
Beats Candy Crush, doesn't it?
It does. It's very true. But you can't deny well, maybe you can if you haven't played it, but it's a beautifully produced game. It's very, very well done.
I bet it is. I just for my sanity and health and sleep, I can't play it.
So have you tried, Brett, or are you?
I haven't, because
there is that element of it being so addictive. You don't.
That's the thing as well. Is I know that it's one of those games where if I do sort of start to enjoy it, then I will put silly hours into it as well. I mean, like I say, Football Manager is my equivalent, and I don't even want to say I put hundreds of hours into that.
Into each version, or
yeah.
It's an interesting. I did play quite a bit of it on the flight over to E3, but I've since kind of given up. I was ill on Monday, and I sort of had the 3DS next to me. I was playing it for a little bit. I just left it open by the side of my bed while I had a sleep, and I left the gates to the city open, and all these people had come in and planted stuff and left presents around the place.
Yeah.
There's a nice element to it, but like I say, when you describe it, it does sound so dumb and twee.
But it's one of those games where every 10 minutes there is an update that you need to check on.
Yeah.
It was the same with Tiny Tower on the iPad, where the city will cease if you don't continue checking it up. So it is, like you say, if you leave on the side, you can't help but keep glancing back to check what's going on. Absolutely. And having played the DS version, I'd occasionally go back to it after a couple of months, and weeds would have sprouted up everywhere, and it would just take ages to clean it up. And
stressful.
Everyone's really stressful.
Yeah,
there's an interesting psychology behind that, though.
Just picturing you solemn, staring at your DS.
What do I do? What do I do? It's just not worth worrying about in a way. But then you can't stop playing it. It's very, very odd. Anything else, Matt? I mean, you mentioned The Last of Us. How far do you think you're through with that game?
That sounds like I'm not very far through, to be honest. Some people have died, and I'm walking. Yeah, I can't say anything without spoilers, so I'm not going to.
You must be pretty close to me if like say some people have died, then because I'm one of those people die. I'm one of those people who, if the path is A to B, I'll go via C, D, E. I forage everything. I look for all those,
looking for notes and things.
Yeah, the conversations that you can initiate with Ellie. They're all those things. I do them in every game, and it takes me 10 times longer to get through.
Got to a bit where she's trying to whistle.
Yes,
that's quite a nice bit. It's those little things just make people in the game just seem much more human. Which you wouldn't have to put that in. It's a nonsensical thing that's nothing to do with any part of the plot, but it just makes the characters a lot more three-dimensional.
Exactly.
It's a very Naughty Dog thing, and Naughty Dog do it best. You have written Donkey Kong Country Returns. I've been playing this on 3DS. Or
replaying it on 3DS. Played it up to the final boss on the Wii. Couldn't beat the final boss.
Well, you got farther than me. I had a Christmas playing with my mother-in-law in Australia, and that was a good fun time.
Great platformer though, really good. And then at E3, as similar, Battlefield 4 is what I'm really looking forward to, and Titanfall as well. I think looks amazing.
Yeah, I think that was pretty much everyone's game of show. I think
COD with mechs.
Yeah, it looked fantastic. I actually didn't get to see the behind closed doors bit though. It was so busy, and I got to see FIFA, Battlefield, and something else at the EA stand, but not that.
You didn't miss much. It was very similar to the Xbox One demo. They peeled back a curtain to show who was playing with them in the world, just to show that it was actually a live demo, similar to what they did with DICE. But I'm really looking forward to that, and Batman as well. Batman.
That's got to play that. That was pretty good. I mean, very similar to City, it felt.
Yeah, but what do you think of the case file system? Because I think that's really interesting. Batman being the greatest detective of all time, they've used inspiration from Sherlock to actually scrub through crime scenes now. So you can scrub through.
Maybe I didn't get this far.
It looks amazing. Right. So in the demo they showed instead of just picking up pieces and getting clues, you can use the Bat computer to actually scrub through things that have happened and then look at it from different angles and piece it together that way. I think I will spend a lot of time just playing around with the case file system because it looks like a great addition to the game.
Did you see any other Warner Brothers games? Did you see Mad Max or Dying Light or any of those?
I did see Mad Max, a lot of people were going absolutely mental for it. They're probably massive Mad Max fans. I thought it looked nice.
Happy though with Mad Max. There was a big fallout from, I think it was IGN Australia, because apparently Mad Max got an American accent. Obviously, that's completely contrary to the Mad Max origin.
Yeah.
And it's strange to sort of change that for no apparent reason. If you're doing a Mad Max game, make him an Australian character.
I asked the question.
Is that a Mel Gibson thing though? Is that like they don't want to be a satire? The main character looks quite different to Mel Gibson. I know. But sorry, Matt, you were saying.
It also doesn't feature any of the characters that are in Mad Max. They've almost taken the world and they've made their own story up from it. So you're not going to see Tina Turner in there. You're not going to see Master Blaster or anything like that, which is a shame. Or a kid that throws boomerangs and cuts people's fingers off, which I think is a shame.
That is a shame. That could still be in there. Maybe we don't know.
Yeah.
We don't know.
Inspiration.
I was quite impressed with Dying Light, although it is the new game from the makers of Dead Island. It's very similar to Dead Island as much as another zombie game.
They did make it sound like this has been their priority for a while, though.
I think a lot of people have said this.
Yeah, that's what they were talking. It was sort of, no, we've been focusing on this, that thing we sort of kicked out.
Just gave it to the B team. Yeah, it was quite funny. I've got something I want to show you guys. Actually, I've been playing with this Moga Pro controller for Android phones. I don't know if you guys have seen it. It's actually pretty good. I'll dig it out after the show. But basically, I've been playing around with this. I don't know if you guys play a lot of touchscreen games, or you're an Android man, Brett? iPhone.
I have an Android.
You got Android, so if you play games on Android, I don't know, like there's some great Android games out there, but I always feel like I want a controller. So,
I totally agree. I'm the sort of person that wants physical buttons, and also my phone doesn't even last long enough in the day without playing a game on it. Never mind just using it for phone calls.
Well, the interesting thing is, while E3 was happening at the Apple conference, whatever that was, WWDC, I think it was, they announced that they're going to have, because for a long time, I'm going to struggle to describe this because I don't know the exact technology names, but that Apple have not allowed sort of third-party controllers to be controlled, via Bluetooth on iPhone, but they've just opened it up with the latest version of iOS, and this will, in theory, allow lots of game controls to come through for iPhone, and it's already happening on Android. So it's it's probably not going to replace the Vita or the 3DS for me, but I thought it was it's a nicely built, solid controller, so I'll dig it out afterwards. Been playing New Super Luigi U, only just came out last night. I was up till about 3:30 in the morning playing that, and it's incredibly difficult. Luigi is faster and can jump a lot higher than Mario, but that means they've hidden the coins in really difficult places, and also they've reduced the time. I'm trying to remember the original. The time limit is usually like 300 seconds.
300,
It's 100 in this game, so you've got to speed run every.
Wow.
It's really difficult, really, really hard.
I downloaded mine this morning, so I haven't had a chance to play it yet. But sounds like I'm in for a good time.
It's pretty tough. There is another character you can use who is invincible if you want. I think that's for the kids.
Character, isn't it?
But yes, I'm about to play Deadpool. I don't know if there's any excitement for Deadpool, the video game.
I'm excited. I'm very excited for it. Yeah,
because it seems to be one of those games that,
because
let's put it this way, the embargo is on release date, which is never a good sign.
Oh.
So.
But but because it's even if the gameplay is passable, just to get to the cutscenes with Nolan North voicing Deadpool will be great.
Yeah, I believe Nolan North was the first person to ever do the voiceover for Deadpool.
Was it?
That's the story. Yeah,
he did it in Marvel vs. Capcom 3.
He did it for an animated series before.
Did he as well?
Yeah,
right.
apparently.
Because he's done a lot of Marvel work as well.
So I've been doing my research. Look at that.
Nice.
I'm about to do a week long. I've already borrowed the Ouya from Tim from Big Red Barrel. He pre-ordered one. He was an early backer, so I'm going to go and pick it up from him again to borrow for a week this time and do a prolonged test with it. I don't know if you guys are a fan of the Ouya idea or kind of the Android-powered, crowdsourced, low-cost consoles in general. There's literally about 10 of them coming out. So have you guys had a play with them or seen them?
I haven't seen them. To be honest, I'm going to be cynical. Not for me. I play console games on consoles, and if I want to play a touchscreen game, it's usually something like Peggle. Something short and sweet that I can play on the train on the way home.
You're one of these traditionalists, Matt, that probably was angry at Microsoft for trying to change things with their DRM policies.
Why I order?
So you're not going to be queuing up for the Ouya. What about you, Brett?
It doesn't appeal to me either. I'm like Matt, that the games I want on my iPhone are the ones that are built for iPhone, not when you put Street Fighter 4 on an iPhone or whatever. That's like you say, you want buttons, but you want to be able to take that on your travels with you. So it wasn't really for me.
My early experiences, borrowed it for a few days, were both great and bad. Really good and really bad. The console itself is really nicely built. It's a tiny little cube. For a company that's its first machine, it was quite polished. Then when you boot it up, the interface is horrible, and you don't know. All the games are free to play, but you play things like Final Fantasy, and you've no idea how much it's going to charge you or when it's going to charge you. And so you kind of playing this game and expecting a pop up to say you need to buy this now, and it's not a totally. It's just more of a little annoyance, but you don't want to get into a game for a long time and then be like, you want to get into it knowing what it's going to cost you, I think.
Did you hear what happened with the E3?
Yes.
Yeah, that was
very
quite funny.
Yeah. There was, in fact, the interview that you just heard from Hotline Miami 2. They were out in some of those big American-style trailers outside the convention centre. Basically, there's it's the ESA that run E3. I forget what that stands for, the ESA, but Electronics Standards
Association
Authority.
Somewhere.
Anyway, basically, the guys that organise E3. You have to pay quite a lot of money to exhibit at E3, and there were a couple of people like Ouya that set up stall right opposite the convention centre because you can hire those car parks for probably a lot less.
Yeah.
As is their American God-given right to do, I suppose. But the ESA weren't very happy, and so they drove massive trucks in front of it to block the view of Ouya, so you couldn't hear about this.
Well, I didn't see Ouya because I could see some trucks outside the convention centre. That's what it was.
And then I forget the second part of that story. I think Ouya then moved in front of
back
them.
around.
Right?
Yeah.
So just this game of just like one-upmanship.
They just
going on
end
in
up
the pub.
inside the foyer of the convention centre. What's going on here?
Eventually, they got Ouya into the convention and they ended up paying as well as they sort of tricked them, just keep getting closer and closer.
Yeah. There's usually lots of stuff happening outside. I mean, one year, a couple of years ago, there were the Lakers riots that were happening on the last day of E3, and I remember that quite vividly. A lot of people trapped in the convention centre when that was happening. But there's been, I think it was Homefront, they hired a Korean army to march through the... but the controversy around that one was that there were a lot of the troops were Chinese, and there was just racism allegations. And then I think there was one year like a Saints Row car wash thing going on. So there's usually a lot of stuff happening outside of E3 for people that want to check it out and can't get into E3, which is another nice part of it. You can go and check it out if you can't get in. Yeah. Although I gather it's quite easy to get in if you're somehow connected to games retail. If you've got a friend who works in or Game Station or whatever it is in America, you can get in quite easily. Is that everything, guys? Anything you're looking forward to this week?
This week?
Well, that brings us on quite nicely to the reviews roundup. There's not actually that much coming out this week. The only game that we haven't mentioned yet is MotoGP 13. Are you a fan of MotoGP?
The silence speaks volumes.
It's gone to Milestone for the first time, the Italian developer of the SBK series. Are you a fan of motorsport at all? Because I'm not, but
I really do. Do you know what? You sound like you are. Which
no,
is
I'm
great,
not. I'm not. But it's really just
not.
through covering video games. Basically, MotoGP is essentially the Formula One of two-wheel racers, and the guys at Milestone have been doing a good job on the SBK series, which is basically roadworthy bikes rather than souped-up bikes, which is what the MotoGP is. I'm doing all right in terms of explaining this. Actually,
so it's like the touring cars of bikes,
essentially.
racing.
Yeah, but it's their first go at the MotoGP license. So,
okay.
Yeah. I've had a quick go on it. It's okay. New Super Luigi U. This is a download only for this week. It's coming out as a standalone release in about a month's time. If you haven't got the original copy of New Super Mario Bros. U, it's weirdly about £18, which I think is maybe a bit too expensive.
A bit pricey, isn't it?
But it's £30 for the standalone release. So
which is a bit odd that there was such a discrepancy as well.
Very odd, very odd. Well, thanks very much for your time, guys. Really, really appreciate it. Matt, where can people find more of your work? Are you on Twitter or you got a website?
Yeah, you can tweet me. I'm at Matt Cuttle. You can see my stuff on GamesWeasel, gamesweasel.com, also on the YouTube GamesWeasel channel. And I do EA stuff on EA Vision and also the Boot Room on Xbox Live. So
and you can subscribe on iTunes as well.
Probably. Yeah.
I subscribe.
There you go. I didn't even know that.
There we go. And Brett, what about yourself?
You can just follow me on Twitter at Invertebrett and just follow me there because I normally tweet the work that I'm doing because I work for various different people. So just follow me on there.
Thanks very much, guys. Thanks to you guys for listening. If you have any feedback, please send it my way, podcast@guycocker.com. Next week's show is a mobile game special. I'll have Dan Gray from Us 2, Simon Oliver from Hand Circus, and Barry Mead from Fireproof being my special guests. Keep an eye on twitter.com/guycocker for more updates, or just subscribe in iTunes to have the podcast delivered as soon as they're available. And if you're feeling particularly generous, leave me a rating or a review on iTunes. And we'll see you next time.